Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and thank you for joining us for our final playtest of the Mecha Hack. This is a role-playing game of Titanic Warmachines that I've been writing for a couple of months now. It is based on the Black Hack, which is an amazing rules-light sort of version of D&D written by David Black. This game is created with his blessing, which is really cool. If you're into Gundam, if you're into Battletech, if you're into Robotech, Transformers, whatever, this is a game that you can use to run really fun and fast rules-light mecha games. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm joined tonight by James Carney, my AbTab cohort, and one of the brothers Carney who run the channel Tabletop Terrors, as well as Lloyd Collins, the RLDM, who is currently kickstarting his Viking setting of Iskloft. Actually, if you tune in tomorrow at 6 Pacific time, Lloyd is going to be running an Iskloft game on this channel, which is going to be a lot of fun, and the AbTab guys are going to be here with me. It's going to be a blast. So tonight we're going to try and keep it as short as possible. What we're going to do is we're going to roll up some mechs. We're going to build our mechs together, and then we're going to play through a couple of quick encounters, and I'm going to roll up those encounters using some of the tables in the GM section of this book. Tim Carney will also be joining us hopefully soon here. He is super stuck in traffic. He left to go to the store for like a minute and ended up being right behind a fairly major accident. So he is currently on his way and should be here shortly. So first things first, let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen so people can see the PDF here. All right, come on, Hangouts. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So if you're tuning in, you're going to be able to get a sneak preview of the PDF, which is coming out on May 25th, by the way, and will be available on absolutetabletop.com. So just really briefly, this is based on the Black Hack, which means that it is a roll under resolution system. So it's D20 based, but instead of trying to hit a DC or a target number, you're trying to roll under whatever attribute you're rolling for. The 4 attributes are power, mobility, system, and presence. So depending on what you're doing, you're going to try and roll under your score for one of those 4 things. It has a lot of the trimmings of both 5th edition and the Black Hack. It has advantage and disadvantage. There's a set sort of 4 actions that you can take, but of course, you know, it's sort of nebulous and you can do other things as well. Rolls can be modified to be more difficult really easily. Initiative system is super simple. When you attack, you test power. When you avoid damage, you test mobility, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of this is going to be, you're going to see it in action in the game here. Where our sort of main focus, what we're going to concern ourselves with here is building our mechs. And that's what we're here to do today. All the art you see, by the way, is done by Brandish Gilhelm, otherwise known as Hankering for a Nail of Runehammer Games. He did awesome. I asked him to do some like sketchy mech art, and he just delivered in spades. And I'm really, really happy with the way that it looks. So, okay, so let's just jump right into this and see what we're working with here. So, James and Lloyd, what I need you guys to do first off is we're going to look at the steps for creating a character here on page 18. And the first of those steps is to roll your attributes.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Now, rolling attributes in the Black Hack, or the Mecha Hack rather, is you roll 3d6 down the line in the order of the attributes. So power, mobility, system, and presence. If at any point you roll a 15 or better, you have to roll the next one at 2d6 plus 3 and not 3d6.
Ooh, good thing. I just barely got a 14.
That is a 5.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
You know, doing okay. There's 4 stats, right?
4 stats, yes.
You're a bad robot.
12. I'm rolling greatly average.
Ooh, this one's good. 15. What did you say about 15?
So if you roll a 15, then the next stat needs to be rolled at 2d6 plus 3 instead of 3d6.
Oh.
Yeah. So 5.
Oh, plus 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rolled 11.
Oh, man. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I got a 5 though for my first. That's
Okay.
no deal.
So once you have all 4 of those, you have the option of swapping 2 of them. So if you would like to swap 2 of them, you can. Also, if you have questions about what the attributes do, I'm happy to answer them. Just from a high level, power is usually like attacking, pushing stuff over. It's feats of physical strength. Mobility is dodging attacks, sneaking, that kind of stuff. System is like your computer system. It's sensors, things like that. It's perception. Avoiding hacking attempts, things like that. Presence is like, it's sort of like robot charisma. It's like how much awe can you inspire in people? How much fear can you sow in your enemies? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I have, I got a 14, a 9, a 12, and a 10. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my 9 mobility for my 10 presence.
Perfect.
So not a big change, but a slight change.
I'm realizing I need to be rolling up Tim's character here too. So I'm going to do that.
I'm not happy with 5 power, so I'm going to swap that for my system. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, low power would definitely be difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like it's a
exactly.
pretty important one.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to roll Tim's really quick here. Do I have dice? Yes.
You know, okay, so let me go ahead and tangent everyone real quick. I
Yeah.
have dice. I recently moved into a house, as you can see by this gray, blue, purple wall behind me. Different place I'm in.
Mhm.
And more interestingly, I think, I only recently found my dice because Tim wanted some to tell me about a system he's been developing. And I gave him some, and then he ended up just playing, rolling against his daughter to see who would get higher. So it didn't really go well. But luckily I had those
That's
out.
the system, actually.
That's
Yeah.
the system. Just roll and see what your daughter gets. But usually I would be in the office, but not today. I'm in the kitchen and we have a wall behind me. So I just
Well,
thought that would be funny.
your internet seems to be fairly decent, so that's good.
I guess that's the other thing worth mentioning. The internet is better as far as how fast it can be, but I'm not plugged into the router, so we will see. So that's great
Yeah.
news. I actually forgot about that.
All right. I rolled Tim's stats. I got 14, 11, 9, and 7. And we will be getting bonuses to those after we pick our pilots and chassis. So that's not what you're stuck with. So after you roll your attributes, the next thing that we do is we choose our pilots. There are 4 pilots in the Mecha Hack. There's the commander, the engineer, the maverick, and the quipster. And if you're a fan of like super robot anime at all, you will recognize all 4 of these archetypes as just being like the 4 characters that are in every single giant robot show. So commander is pretty self-explanatory. You have stuff that can help your teammates. The engineer, you can help repair your teammates. Mavericks, like the bad boy, they can reduce their armor in order to do extra damage. And the quipster is like the jokester. It's like every robot team has the fat guy who's cracking wise, and that's what the quipster is. So you will see that each pilot gets a +2 to one attribute and a +1 to a second one. And they also get a unique ability that only they can do. The commander can give people extra actions. The engineer can reduce their armor points to increase someone else's hit points. The Maverick can, like I said, reduce their armor points to deal extra damage, and the Quipster can test presence to possibly give someone advantage on a single test. So they can give an inspiring speech, basically. So, are any of these sticking out to either one of you guys?
So yes, I am interested in being the engineer,
Okay.
or an engineer. Obviously, there can be more than one of each, but I think that I'm going to go engineer. It happens to fit relatively well with my stats. It boosts me a little bit, and I like the idea of the reducing my AP to get 2 HP. I think that's, well, hopefully will be good.
Yes, definitely.
I always lean towards the commander, but I think because of that, this time I will play the Maverick, because every other game of this that I play, I will play the commander. So,
right. Okay, cool.
So Matt, real quick, I don't know how much you want to go into this, but Victor in the chat asked if there is a campaign or story to the Mecha Hack.
So
insight into that?
Yeah, I can give a little bit. So I designed the game sort of intentionally to be very setting agnostic, so you can use it for whatever you want. If you're wanting to do like kind of hardened military mechs like BattleTech style, you can. If you want to do like super robot Voltron, you can. But in the back of the book, there is a sample setting that I wrote and Tim helped out with a lot, called Lodestar Alpha. That is kind of like a far future war-torn system with factions of humans fighting. And there's like one faction's like ragtag rebels, another is like sort of alien tech, overmind sort of humans, and then the third faction are like knights, nobility sort of guys. So there is some stuff in there. If you're looking for a setting, if you're looking for a world to run this game in, there is easy ways to sort of drop in and do that. So yes, to answer your question, yes, there is stuff in the book for that sort of thing. And there's lots of GM tools for rolling up missions, creating skill challenges, hazards, things like that. So it's, I've designed it to be, I want it to be fairly usable right out of the book, without having to look to too many other sources. So, and it's important to note too, that this is a standalone game. Even though it's made using the Black Hack, it's not like you need the Black Hack to run it. So, yeah. So I think if you're going engineer and Lloyd is going Maverick, I'm going to make Tim the commander.
Perfect.
Yep.
Commander.
I think he mentioned what chassis he wanted to be, but he didn't mention what
pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which chassis did he say that he wanted to be? I can't remember.
Heavy, but I don't think that's the name of a
That's
chassis
not the name of a
anymore.
chassis. No.
So I'm assuming he means
that was
the other one.
never the name of a chassis, but I assume he means Titan. So
Yes,
we're
going to make him a Titan.
We will let him
man.
pick Titan.
I just found a typo. Oh, I did.
Did you find a typo?
I think so. Not on your screen, on my screen. Like I'm looking at the PDF as well, obviously. So
yeah, I'm like, that doesn't help. That's still
It's still
the game I wrote.
well, yeah, no, I wasn't trying to blow you up. Like, well, Matt, you spelled this wrong, and actually every single one. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so let me just go ahead and say this: isn't leveling up the word leveling supposed to only have one L? It has two L's in every single chassis.
That is good.
Probably true, but I
Hang on.
can't. Top of my mind, I can't figure that out.
Yeah,
so
supposed to be one L.
both are correct, apparently.
You know, I almost said, oh, it's probably one of those both are correct, but let's just go ahead and say that only leveling with one L is really correct in the US.
Perfect. I like that. Okay, so also make sure you adjust your attributes based on your pilot, because they will up two of your things. And I believe the next thing we need to do is we need to choose a chassis. There are 4 chassis in Mecha Hack. There's the Brawler, the Scout, the Striker, and the Titan. Each one sort of excelling in different things, but the beauty of the Mecha Hack is that the real sort of uniqueness and versatility of the mechs comes into play with the modules, which are like feats that you can take to further customize your mech. So, we need to roll pilot record too.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So there is a roll table on page 13. You can either pick one of these or roll for it, but it's basically just a little bit of background for your pilot.
So
Tim here.
I have been forced to fight since I was a child. Hey, there goes Tim.
Sweet, Tim's here. Yay.
So you didn't put a spot for the record in here, Matt. What? Come on.
Listen, I'm pretty sure I made this character sheet before I wrote that roll table. So.
Oh, that's actually a good point. Fair enough. Okay.
Wait, what just happened? Okay, for Tim, I rolled a loved one of mine is fighting on the other side of this war.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Yeah,
that's such a good one.
What did you guys get?
I have yet to make a confirmed kill.
Oh man, okay.
Yep.
Interesting for a Maverick.
Yes.
That's actually funny. I got I've been forced to fight since I was a child.
Very cool. Okay. Fighting on the other side of this war. Very cool. I'm going to pass this character sheet off to Tim so I can not have to do this anymore.
What's up?
Hey, man. How's it going, dude?
It's an interesting night. I I don't know if you could tell too. I'm soaking wet. It was pouring rain.
Oh my God. And in Florida, that's like it. The rain does not mess around.
Oh man, it's been raining for like 4 days. It's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
4 days,
Yours
huh?
not so.
Must
Got
be
him.
tough.
Matt, I'm so mad that did you add the logo to your character sheet and not ours? That's so messed up.
What? No, it should be on all of them.
Oh, you know what's funny? If I weird, I had to click on the header and it appeared. It wasn't there
weird.
for me a second ago. So that's my bad, guys. Matt was awesome and put it in there.
Oh man. Okay, cool. So Tim, I sent you a link in the Hangout chat to the character sheet that I'm working on for you. So far, all we've done is pick our pilots.
Cool.
You got stuck with Commander because Lloyd uncharacteristically went with Maverick, and James very characteristically went with Engineer. So
Trying to keep a wild card, you know?
Dude, that sounds great. That sounds great.
also Lloyd got like 3 hours of sleep and also made the only overlay between all of us.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
Listen,
Oh yeah.
listen, man. That's just, you know.
it's what he does. Okay.
Dude, right? Sign me up for the overlay every time, Lloyd.
Yeah, except then you do all that work and then you got to start XSplit and it's the whole thing and Google won't let you just upload one. It's just
I'll tell you how many
Oh,
times
yeah.
I've gone through painstaking work to make overlays, and the Hangout starts, and everyone's like, "Oh, actually, XSplit doesn't work," and I'm like, "Gosh darn it!"
yeah, man. The dude puts in the work, so I can't blame him because even if he sent me that overlay exactly, I probably couldn't get it working. So he's got it.
All right. So the most important question I have for you, Matt, as a game master, is what playlist should I be listening to?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Honestly,
Great
probably
one.
like Pacific Rim soundtrack would be good.
I think that Harbinger playlist would work for this too.
Yeah, the Harbinger
I
playlist
think
would be
so,
great.
yeah.
Honestly, that Harbinger playlist could work double duty for sure.
I'm kind of going for a little bit of a different tone. I've just got sort of a
tone I
smooth-
can get into.
Oh my god, that has way too many layers to it. I'm
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Titanfall humor in the Mecha Hack.
Titanfall Flash,
Yeah,
Tane,
yeah.
Tim and Eric. Oh my god, just leave.
I broke James's brain.
Oh, you did. I can't handle it. No, I was in the
man.
middle of making a stupid joke about listening to what is it? What does he listen to in Mighty Boosh? Experimental jazz. That's what.
Oh
it is.
yeah, that's
like
a good one.
experimental jazz bass is what I'm going to listen to this whole game.
That sounds great.
I think I should be Howard Moon, the commander. Coming at you, sir. So here's an important question. What is the tone of the playtest you want to run? Is it like what are we going for?
I was gonna run a little encounter in Lodestar Alpha.
Okay, cool.
The, setting that
So-
we created for the book.
So like Gundam-esque.
Yeah, very, very Gundam, very like military OFMS team sort of, sort of jive.
Love it.
So this has little to do with much, except for that I've been playing BattleTech, and I hired a mech commander, and she is straight out of the Midwest. She might as well say, heading over there, Commander, don't you know? Like just so hardcore Montana.
So is that what you want me to do? Is that what
That
you're
one went through the armor, don't you know? And I'm like, oh yeah? Come on, Fuse, get a real accent.
That's really funny that the Midwest accent managed to survive into the far-flung
That's
people.
what I mean. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so Midwestern.
Yeah,
It's just
Like
blows me
that's
away.
the one that made the cut.
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so choosing chassis. We have chosen our pilots. Everyone's good with that. We all rolled our pilot records. Now it's time to choose our chassis. So very briefly, we're going to go over what each of these chassis gives you. So if your pilot is your race in D&D, then the chassis is your class. This is where most of the meat of your character is going to come from. It's also what your progression as you level up is going to come from. So each mecha chassis gives you your hit die, which dictates your hit points, your damage die, which is how much damage you do with your weapons, and your reactor die, which is probably the most important thing in this game because so many things are tied to the reactor die. And that is just a really kind of fun, abstract way to represent the immense amounts of unstable energy it requires to maintain machines of this size. And so if you take a critical hit, if you choose to do the same action twice in a turn, if you use a module or chassis ability that requires it, you're going to roll your reactor die. And if you roll a 1 or a 2 on that reactor die, then you downgrade that die to the next lowest step. So from a D8 to a D6, from a D6 to a D4. So this is playing upon the usage die mechanic from the Black Hack, which is one of my favorite mechanics ever in a game. It's just so elegant. So, and if you are on a D4 and you roll a 1 or a 2, then your mech is overheated. You have pushed it to its limits, and you're basically you're hobbled. So in addition to the dice that it gives you, you're also going to get your weapon and armor proficiencies. Like I said, you're leveling up what happens when you progress in the game. Starting equipment, if you choose to go that route, and 2 unique abilities. One of them is going to be passive. The other is going to be active. So the 4 mecha chassis available in the Mecha Hack are the Brawler, which is kind of the up-close and personal damage dealer of the game. The Scout, which is very much like rogue assassin type. You can get up close, do sneak attacks. You can snipe from far away. Their most powerful ability is the ability to cloak themselves. As they, even if they don't have cover, they can basically go into cloak. The Striker class, which is kind of the well-balanced, versatile class of chassis. This also has the highest reactor die in the game, and the only chassis that can upgrade other people's reactors. So you can sort of move around the battlefield and upgrade people's reactors for them if they need to. And then finally the Titan, which is the big boy, I don't know why, the Harley Davidson big boy, as someone once said at Disneyland for me. The Titan has the ability to take damage for other people as well as give people shields. So this is really the damage absorber, the tank of the game. Heavy weapons, heavy armor, that sort of thing. So Titan, Striker, Scout, and Brawler. Which ones are sticking out to you guys?
So for me, I really would like to be a Scout. That one absolutely sticks out to me. It might simply be because he, in the picture, is holding a revolver. Despite the fact that I can have that weapon with anyone else, I think the Scout is the one for me.
Cool. Yeah, that was very important to me when Hank did this art. Originally, he had like a submachine gun, and I said, Hank, he needs to have like a big
old hand cannon. Yeah, like that's where my life. That's the reason I'm picking it. So
yes,
yeah.
I like that he's holding the gun instead of having an arm for a gun.
Yes, that is very, very Gundam to me. Yeah. Like Gundams are always just like, oh, let me pull out this gun that is Gundam sized. Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So James is going Scout. Lloyd, what are you thinking?
I think Tim wants to be the big boy, so I will be either of the other 2 boys. Should I be punching or should I be shooting? That's the question.
So you want to be a brawler, shot caller.
20-inch hand cannon on the Impala. I think that obviously the Striker seems to be the right choice there, but maybe that's the reason you're not going to pick it. You know?
Yeah. I'm trying not to do the usual thing, which is.
You could also be the heavy if you want. You could be the Titan.
No.
We could also have more than one of the same chassis. There's nothing wrong with 2 Titans and a Scout just go on ham.
We should try as much stuff as possible.
Let's break this game. Well, yeah.
everyone go Commander Striker. Let's do this. Everyone give each other actions.
Oh my God. So as my action though, so Lloyd as the commander is going to give me an action. As my action, I'm going to give Tim an action. And as his action, he's going to give Lloyd an action. Perfect. And the game's just broken. Sorry, man.
Great. All right. We created the infinite combo already.
It doesn't do anything except for give us infinite action.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Striker. That's what I'm going to do.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. Lloyd's going Striker. And Tim, that means you are going to go Titan?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Awesome.
I think I'm going to be doing this a lot because I have the Pacific Rim soundtrack playing in my ears.
Tim just he loves the Pacific Rim soundtrack. He comes to my house and searches it on Spotify to put it on. That happened for real.
Okay, so I rolled my hit points.
Yeah, starting hit points you roll, and then you also everyone gets +4 on top of your roll.
God.
Yeah.
We're only starting
That's
hit
the
points.
worst thing ever.
I'm a commander. I'm gonna
I
take
read these
max.
rules and I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and as you're
snap.
acting,
I
you
actually
can
rolled a
bring that-
10, baby.
Oh,
I had a
yes.
5 already. So it's +4. You said, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it says it right here in the
Mhm.
scout. That's a good idea, Matt.
Yep, I know.
Okay, yeah. So I got my hit points. Armor points 70,000. I went ahead and had Yang just really do me up. It's a battle tech joke, guys. Thank you.
Yep. I got
Thanks
it.
for coming.
I'm pleased.
And for the sake of quickness here, let's go with starting equipment, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, no, that works.
Yeah, killer.
Cool.
I'd actually rather buy mine, all of it, and everyone else's. I'm the commander, and I will outfit you. I'll be ordering
I
for the
will do
table.
So you're saying we don't get to ruin these consumables? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm going to allow you guys to pick a weapon property for sure.
Okay. Oh,
Don't
okay.
worry.
Yeah. That was the thing I realized earlier is that you called those two different things in the doc.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, and I looked on my phone earlier
Yeah,
because I was
probably.
curious what you added.
That was,
But
that was a 11th hour edition this afternoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
3 times is the number of times that I have tried to highlight your screen share and copy paste it.
I know. I'm so sorry. Tim, do you have this PDF?
I can get it.
oh yeah, because he sent it in the chat earlier, but obviously weren't here. So.
Oh yeah, if you could resend it, that would be very handy.
So maybe this is a thing that could be made easier. Where's my armor? I'm looking at the scout, and I have to go look how
So
much
your
my
armor is dictated by your starting equipment.
Yep. You got your
Oh, okay.
APs in there.
Then it is okay.
Read a
Armor.
book, James. Jesus.
Yeah, come on, man.
I swear I read this like once or twice.
First
Oh,
time
light
I'm seeing
armor.
it, I figured it out. Jeez.
Did I send you the character sheet? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
you
Tim.
super did.
I'm sorry, man.
It's fine, dude. I'm in here and with Idris Elba and Tom Morello.
We're canceling the apocalypse.
We are. Oh, it's,
What happened there?
It's so good to me. Like I have an unhealthy love for Pacific Rim
No, but you stopped in the middle of that sentence
because it got so good to me that I was like, I want to watch Pacific Rim and play this game at the same time.
like, you know what? Sorry guys, I gotta go. We're canceling the Mecha Hack. I gotta go watch Pacific Rim instead.
We are canceling the playtest.
He's like, all right, now I'm in this mech. Jim, did you get that rundown for me?
Because he was in the office. I get
He
it.
was in the
Yep.
office and he kept asking for the rundown, and that was
That's right.
perfect.
And Jim didn't know what that meant.
He didn't know what it meant. He didn't. He was the original Chris Pratt meme. I don't know what a rundown is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
Too afraid to ask.
Literally.
That's right. Cool. So you get starting equipment, and then James, as a scout, you get 2 things. One is called ambush, which basically means that you get advantage on attacks made while you're hidden, and you deal 1d6 additional damage. So it's sneak attack.
Yeah, it's
and
sneak
then
attack.
cloaking field, which allows you to use an action to become hidden, and as a result, you have to roll your reactor die because it expends energy from your mech.
And just to go over that again, basically, anytime I roll the reactor die, the idea is if I get 1 or 2, it downgrades
Yes,
to a D4 in my case from a D6, and then if I roll a 1 or 2 on that, I'm done.
you're
until I
overheated. Yeah,
overheated,
exactly. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
And then as a striker, Lloyd, you get adaptable robotics, which basically means if you roll a 20 on a test, which in this case it's a critical failure, that's tough to figure out when you're first playing a roll under. But basically, you roll 20 and do a critical failure, you can re-roll the die and have to use the new roll. And you also get this dope ability called Reactor Charge, which basically you can roll your reactor die and improve someone else's reactor die by 1 step. So very handy, very useful. And then Tim, as a Titan, you get kinetic absorbers, which allows you to take damage for another close mech if they're taking damage, which is handy because you typically have the most armor and hit points of the fire team. And then you also get the energy shield ability, which allows you to put an energy shield on yourself or an ally and reduce damage by 1d4 if they get hit.
Killer.
Awesome. Okay. Now, my favorite part. We get to roll to choose our mech names. On page 18, there is a mecha name roll table that Tim absolutely murked. And so you roll a d20 twice and you get your mech name.
Oh, I'm so into this.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, it was so fun. I was feeling it so hard. We didn't have time. I didn't have time that day, but I was like, man, I said, Matt, time me.
It was like 2 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yeah, he started a timer. I filled in that whole roll table in less than 5 minutes. I was just like, we are canceling the writer's block.
Oh, damn.
All right. You guys got to tell me what your mecha name is when you roll it because I'm excited.
Who's going first? Yeah, who's going first here? I'll go first, but I just don't want to. Obviously, I'm going to pick something else if somebody else rolls the same as me.
Go.
Winning.
Okay, so it looks like I'm going first.
Go for it.
Go first.
All right. Voodoo 0. Yeah. I'm into it.
God, that's awesome.
I'm just so into it. It really is.
All right, Tim, you want to go next? Or like
You.
okay. Let's see. Oracle. Ethos. Ooh.
Oh,
Man,
right.
that's-
It's so good. You can read it
Wow.
all day, but as soon as you put two together, really, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So I got Orville Redenbacher. Wait, I might have an older.
Wow. You filled
version of the table. I
Oh,
was
you filled
hungry.
this out a little too fast.
I have Colossus.
Colossus beefsteak. That's the one.
Colossus Lucifer.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Guys, I just want to sell this roll table.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't
This
even
is-
have to make up your own mecha names. You
This
just
is-
roll on the table.
This is worth the price of admission right here. And I will say, I'm sure there's a dumb combination of names. I haven't rolled one yet. So
There's not. I've read them all. Every permutation, 20 factorialized, every single one. No, not really, but really, like it's hard to make a bad one.
yeah,
because
it's true.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we have our pilots, we have our chassis, we have our pilot record, we have our mecha name. Now we get to choose a module. Modules are like feats. They're add-ons to your mech. They super customize them and give them really cool things that they're able to do. You get one when you create your mech, and then you get another one at levels 3, 6, and 9. So when you reach level 10 in this game, which is the max level, you should have 4 modules. There are different types of modules. There are offensive modules, defensive modules, and utility modules. All of them are awesome, and we all get to pick one. So offensive modules are things that give you different attacks. They up your damage, allow you to just F up people's days. Defensive modules are things like shields. You can go into barricade mode, which just turns you into a giant bunker. And you can block attacks for other mechs. There's a retractable shield that you can wield a shield without having to use a hand to do it. And then utility modules are things like sentry turrets, frag mines, jump jets, increasing your reactor, going into vehicle mode, having weapons that you don't have to hold, stuff like that. So, yeah, all of them are really cool, and we get to pick one. So, James, what are you thinking, man?
Shoulder hard point, because that's the best one.
Okay, cool.
Which shoulder hard point allows me to scroll down to where I just read that. Allows me to mount a heavy ranged weapon on my shoulder that doesn't require my hands to use.
Yes.
So basically my AC 20 plus going right on my scout shoulder. Gonna break this game real quick.
Cool. Sounds good. Lloyd, any that are sticking out to you?
Jump jets. I want the jump jets. I want the jump jets.
You got it. You got it. You can have the jump jets, baby boy. All right, Tim, what are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking it's a toss-up between siege mode and barricade mode.
Listen to me. Siege mode is kind of my favorite module, and when I wrote that, I was really excited about it. So basically, siege mode, you use an action, enter siege mode, you roll your reactor die when you do that. You just turn into a giant tank, and you can add 2 damage to all of your ranged attacks until you use an action to exit siege mode. So it's like StarCraft 2 siege tanks, basically.
I can't do anything else. I have to do siege mode.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yep.
Awesome. So James mounted a heavy weapon on his shoulder. Lloyd has jump jets, and Tim is going to be going into siege mode, which is just awesome. And I can hear the sound it makes when you go into siege mode too. It's like,
yeah, dude, that was a good siege mode.
Thanks, man. I really worked hard at it.
He's played a lot of Captain Hammer.
I have.
So we know that.
Captain Hammer was my first Heroes of the Storm character. So,
as Keen Peel would say it, Captain Hammer is his jams dough.
It is.
Captain Hammer is my jams dough.
My other favorite is the sentry turret, just because I love anything that allows me to drop a little turret that shoots people. So I really like that too.
Rocket Fist is just great too.
Yep, Rocket Fist is good. Vehicle mode is really awesome because I love like Transformers, and Wing Zero from Gundam Wing could transform into that giant bird, and that was awesome. Cool. So those are modules. There are a lot of different modules. We actually trimmed this list down quite a bit because we didn't want it to be sort of like overwhelming, and there were a lot of modules that sort of did similar things.
Yeah.
So we trimmed it down quite a bit, but I've also included just some very brief guidelines here on if you want to create your own custom modules. It's very easy to do. Black Hack is a really easy system to work with, and I just have some like bullet point, like here's how you can do it. So people can feel free to create their own modules alongside their GM, which I think is neat. Next up is equipment. We're not going to be spending a ton of time in here because you guys took starting equipment. However, I would like to give everyone the option of picking a weapon property for one of their weapons. The weapon properties are something that I made up today because I wanted them to be in the game, and they're things that basically augment your weapons. Some of them have restrictions if they can be used with ranged or melee or light weapons or whatever, but they all add like kind of a cool thing to your weapons. And that is on page 23, if you guys want to check it out.
Chain blade.
There you go.
Melee only. Basically, when I deal damage to an enemy with this weapon, I can use a second attack, and I have to roll my reactor die, and I get to roll and deal its damage a second time.
Yeah, you basically just hold it in there, and you don't have to roll your attack again. You just deal damage again, which is pretty awesome.
So can I put you on blast for the one thing I noticed
please
earlier when
do.
I was looking at the doc?
Yeah.
So above you refer to them as weapon qualities, and then on this table you refer to them as weapon properties.
Well,
yeah.
It's your first RPG or something? Jeez.
yeah, I know. I really effed it up, you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like he added it today or something. It's ridiculous. What is this?
Literally
Not been edited by
unplayable.
anybody?
I feel
Literally
so,
unplayable.
I feel so bad because I'm always getting on Tim about adding stuff in the 11th hour, and then I'm like, hey guys, I added like 5 roll tables. Please look at them.
And then he learned his lesson. Then he figured it out.
Yep. So I will fix that for sure before the why is my phone just blowing up?
I'm going to go with Arc, I think.
That's me.
It's me, dude. I'm texting you like, this is so good.
So, okay, so follow me here. Let me see if this makes sense. So if I go corrosive, right, that means that I can hide.
Mm-hmm.
I can ambush, which gives me an additional damage. I can use my heavy shoulder hardpoint weapon, never taking out the hand cannon that I don't even need at this point, as well as corrosive and doing 1d6 extra damage. That's the thing, right? I'm going to go corrosive, and I'm going to break your game. That's the goal here.
Yeah. I mean, the idea here is that you are giant robots. You're going to be doing quite a bit of damage. So, yeah, go for it, man. Try it out.
Yeah, so I'm going corrosive. That's certainly my final answer.
Cool.
I'm going to go Arc.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, and then James, do you have a heavy weapon to mount on your shoulder hardpoint, or do you need to get a heavy weapon? Do you want to swap out your revolver for a heavy ranged?
I was going to say yes. If it doesn't come along with that module, then yes. I'm going to go ahead and trade that out.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. I would need one to put there. Otherwise, if that's the case, honestly, I would pick a different module. Obviously, if I didn't get the weapon to put on it.
No, I'll let you just take a heavy range weapon. I don't care if you want the shoulder hard point for sure.
So basically, I have the dagger and the shoulder hard point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Can I just take whatever I want as well? Is that how we're doing this game? Or?
I don't know. I found a bunch of boost kits, like 50 or so. I don't know.
On a truck?
On a truck. Yeah, you know,
I
I
think
know.
I'm on a truck.
Yeah.
James bought a telescope stand, and he's like, I don't know how this telescope works. We're like, what?
Oh man. Okay. So you guys took weapon properties, and yeah, if there's any basic equipment that you guys want to add, you of course can. I don't really care.
I'd like to add another mecha
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
inside me, and it just opens, and he comes shooting out like Razorbeak.
And Razorbeak. Perfect. There is a module that is cassette tape sidekicks. You guys can take if you want to be the boombox transformer. Soundwave, that's the guy's name.
It's that third pillar, you know, kind of module. That's what I said.
Right. And then there's also a on page what page is this? 24. There's a table of consumable items. I will allow you guys to each pick one of those consumable items if you wish.
Baby.
Okay, 1 second. I'll be right back.
He's gonna go make a new one.
Yeah, he's like, hang on a second.
He's like,
And we had another roll table here.
I'm like, what? Okay, so there are actually, for these consumables, we were just editing this earlier today, and it's really cool because they're all really powerful. So there are different grenades that they don't just blow things up. Like, for instance, one of these grenades, it's an arc grenade. So when you throw it, any targets that are affected not only take damage, but they also lose their next turn, which is tasty. Can you imagine you throw a grenade in there?
Yep. There's lots of nice, I'm really into this sensor jammer thing. Like, what if the scout's out there and he like fails his hide and he's like, oh crap, I'm out in the open. I got you. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep, that's great.
I think one of my favorite things is the one-shot module, where it's like you basically get to load the module, this consumable, with any one use of any module, which is super handy. So basically you can recreate the effect of any module, but you have to choose it when you buy it, and it requires an action.
That's the one I'm going. I'm not this guy, but today I'm this guy. I'm going one-time module, super reactor, increase your reactor die by one type.
No,
just as a scout with one is not allowed.
Now hang on, because
we changed the rules.
Read the description of the one-shot module.
You get it one time.
No, you
that
recreate the effects of
or
one
the
module
GM.
that requires an action.
Oh, I didn't read the rules. What do you expect me?
Because James, I anticipated that.
Because I was like, that's the best one. I'm like, you gotta pick the module. I'm like, come on.
No, any module that requires an action. So you can't like
so the frag mines, or you can't have one use rocket fists.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Rocket fists fall off after you use them. That's actually you can't have one shoulder hard point a one time use. No, that's a great point actually.
Exactly. I'm gonna get some party rockets. They sound like Roman candles
in the house.
Yeah, just no, they sound like hype horns.
They're like those Nerf darts that have the shrieking sound in them.
So I'm gonna go explosive rounds because, like I said, I'm not usually this guy, but I'm gonna have so much damage on this.
You're just gonna try and do as much damage as possible. That's great.
Not even on purpose, just because I'm like, until your reactor die is downgraded, that might be one shot, that might be 100 shots.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, explosive. Yeah, that's me.
I'm glad you're testing that because we were tinkering with that today, and that might be overpowered, but before it was a little underpowered. So, that's actually what I was going to go with, but I'm going to go with something different for the sake of the playtest and choose arc grenades.
Very cool.
Which is essentially a stasis grenade, like where you throw it. If it damages the target, they lose their next turn, which I think is super rad.
Awesome.
The sensor jammer. That's like a panic button.
Very cool.
Love it.
Awesome. All right. So we just made our mechs. They're done. We just built our mecha. We have pilots, chassis, we have modules, and we bought some equipment. All of that took less than an hour with 3 people who have never played this game before. So that is pretty awesome. I'm glad that went quickly.
Yeah,
and a lot of joking.
Yes, exactly. Like, it also feels awesome. Like, I'm so excited about the guy I just made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Awesome. And if you're watching, there's what you saw is about half of the PDF. I'm still laying it out, and there's a big old section with enemies and enemy stat blocks. There is a GM section with a bunch of tools for creating missions, and there's also optional rules for more tactical games. There's like collateral damage rules for like if you're fighting in a city and like knocking over buildings and stuff like that. And then there's also the Lodestar Alpha setting that is going to be in there. So there's going to be quite a few more pages in this thing when it comes out on May 25th, but that's just a little sneak preview of what's to come. So, okay. So the next thing that we're going to do here, as these guys sort of wrap up making their mecha and finish polishing up their character sheets, is I'm going to roll the mission. So this is not in the PDF yet, so you guys won't be able to see this, but I'm going to scroll down to the GM Game Master Tools section, and I'm going to generate a mission. So here we go. I need a D10. Okay. The enemies you guys are going to be fighting, rebelling laborers.
Scrubs.
Oh, we're the bad guys.
You guys are, we the baddies.
We're the bad guys.
Oh, we are the baddies.
The objective is to eradicate hostiles.
So the laborers, okay,
He's here to break a strike. He's like,
Leave
four
a
markers on the planet are like, we're just trying to get paid for our work. We're like, not today.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad that I'm going to do so much
Fair pay
damage.
for fair work. And you guys are like,
I'm like, corrosive damage, baby.
I know.
Peasant.
Lloyd's making me disappear while I shoot party rockets.
Oh, no mercy.
The mission opener, I just rolled the D6. I rolled a 3, warping in with experimental teleportation technology. So you guys are going to get to warp in.
Warp
So
into
good.
the picket line.
Yeah.
You're going to warp in on the soup kitchen where they're eating.
Yeah, the enemies are just humans. It's not even mecha or anything. We're just like, just step on them. Well, that was fast.
I'd like to target the dirty, wounded laborer.
Fatality.
I rolled a mission hazard and got magnetic activity, which results in problems to sensors. You need to calibrate sensors and stuff like that. Mission complication. Oh, interesting. Okay.
It just says moral ambiguity.
I'm gonna
Being a part of the bourgeoisie.
There is one that's like, where is it? Well, innocent bystanders are caught in the crossfire, but
Innocent bystanders were the enemy.
yeah. Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, do indiscriminate carnage.
And then I get to pick the mission environment. 8. Let's re-roll that. Polar.
Oh, dude, I'm going to totally make it. It says a loved one of mine is fighting on the other side of this war. Oh, Union leader.
Yeah,
Dude,
no kidding.
My
brother. A polar environment means that we sink 50% extra heat, so. I'm good at Battletech.
James, as my first use action, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. When was the last time you were in a yeah? So to give some quick feedback, that is a line that is not in the movie Pacific Rim that Matt incepted into the movie Pacific Rim by taking the essence of a scene that happened and then making that up.
Just making that was his
And saying it like it was a quote. And he kept saying it, and I was like,
It was like one of those things where I went and saw the movie in the theater, and I just kept saying that line for like months. And then my wife and I got Pacific Rim on Blu-ray, and we're watching it. And at the end, as the credits roll, I'm just sitting there like this, and my wife goes, they never said that fucking line. Like, she was just so mad. She was like, they didn't say it at all. And she's like, you've been saying that for months and it's not even in the movie. And I'm just like, I don't know why.
And then you turned to her and said, when was the last time you were in a Jaeger?
I think
Obviously can't do it nearly as well as Jim.
the actual line is something like, oh, how long has it been since you've jockeyed, mate? Or something like that. Like, it's just very conversational, non-confrontational. But for some reason, I just had it in my head that this guy was just like...
Yeah, he's ribbing him because he was working the wall. He's like, oh, yeah, well, we were out fighting. You were on the wall. When was the last time you were... In your version, he's drunk. And he's like, he's
drunk
punching his dog.
Jeez.
Oh, man. All right. Let's play some Mecha Hack. So I rolled up a mission here. It's going to be completely improv. And we're going to test these GM tools here as well as the Mecha rules. So the 3 of you used to be 4 of you. You lost your 4th member on the last mission. She was, in many ways, the heart of your team. Person who kept you all together. When things got really dark, when things got really bad, she was always there with a joke or a word of encouragement. The 3 of you have spent the last few weeks trying to blame yourselves and each other for her demise. But now you've been taken off the bench. It's time to shake it off, suit up, and get to work. You've been called into action on a frigid polar moon on a wide orbit, some backwater settlement. It's a colony devoted to ripping up iron out of the ground. Iron that's used in lots of different things, but mainly for building mechs. You are being told that there's a labor dispute on this moon. Now, normally, this wouldn't constitute a fire team of mecha being dropped in. But word is from command that this is something severe, something dire. The laborers here, disgruntled, vying for resources, they've commandeered something being built on this moon. You're not being told what, but you're being told that you'll know it when you see it. Your mission, fire team, is to warp in using some new experimental teleportation technology. Move in quietly. Try and destroy this weapon before it can be used against you, against other military targets, against innocents on this moon. Commander, you have a few moments to speak to the 2 remaining members of your fire team as the 3 of you are dropping into the cockpits of your mechs, pulling on your helmets, tightening the buckles of your seatbelts, getting ready to deploy. What do you say to them?
That's all I say. I turn on my microphone so they can hear all my cool stuff.
So you can hear the reaction powering up.
If Jet was here, she'd make a joke right now. But she's not. So let's do this for her. All right. Pull up your metal underoos and let's do this.
You got it, Commander.
Copy that.
The three of you settle into the well-worn seats in the cockpits of your mecha. You toggle switches, dozens of switches. You know what I'm talking about. You do the and you feel the atomic generators, these car-sized reactors housed in these mecha. You hear them humming to life, and you can feel the metal of this gigantic mechanized exosuit. You can feel it vibrating beneath you as the immense power begins coursing through the veins, through the joints of this machine that you are, for all intents and purposes, symbiotically linked with. You feel what it feels. You see what it sees. You and your mecha are one and the same. And when you're sitting in this cockpit, you're no longer just a mere man. You're a massive engine of destruction. You receive a signal over the comms. Commencing warping in 5, 4, 3, 2. And as the warping technology begins to take hold, the voice in the comms fades. A blue light sort of overtakes your vision. And for a second, you don't exist. And then a indeterminate amount of time passes. It could be an instant. It could have been 10 minutes. And there's a flash of light. And you are elsewhere. You see before you out the viewports of your chassis. You see sprawling tundra, fields of ice. The sky is gray, overcast. And you see the moisture on the outside of your mech freezing almost instantly as you set down. The instruments on your console sort of hum with static for a second. Your HUD flickers on and off. And you realize that there's magnetic activity here from all of the iron. It might mess with your sensors, but it's not too bad yet. By your estimates, Commander, you're about 3 clicks out from your destination. You see before you these sort of naked trees, just these tall sort of spires of wood with skeletal branches. You imagine that in a different season, they might be covered with leaves, but now in the long winter that is set on this moon, they're barren. Your destination lies in that direction.
Oracle. Take flank. Hard right.
10-4, Commander.
And then I would sort of start trekking. And as this core spins and burns, you could just see this these huge plumes of smoke coming from this enormous reactor. Voodoo. Run in the trees.
Copy.
You go ahead. See what we've got up there.
Commander, we going in hard here? Teach these rebels a lesson?
Yeah. Today we are canceling this picket line.
Tim, I'm going to remove a module from your mech for that. So, Voodoo, are you scouting ahead in front of the your other 2 fire team here?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I don't know how this game works. Cloak and go into this forested area potentially. Maybe a couple of clicks. I don't know if that's a thing. A couple of mat clicks laid down, horizontally, about that far away.
So about 90 feet. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
About 90 feet away.
Yeah.
And just get a lay of the land here and see if we can get an idea of what they might be piloting.
Cool. So you're out in the open currently. So if you want to become hidden, you like you said, you will have to use your cloak. So go ahead, and if you activate your cloak, go ahead and roll your reactor die as you expend that energy.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and take 20 on that, and I'm like, oh wait, that's a failure. So I roll my d6. I'm over here about to roll a d20.
Yeah, your reactor.
So that's a 6. So that just means nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yep, you're good. You use energy to activate your cloak. And you sort of it's like a cloak that if someone was standing outside and like looking and they were just outside of a mech, they would probably spot your silhouette, but it's intentionally designed to sort of like mask yourself from like other mechs and their sensors and stuff like that. So you sort of disappear from the HUDs of your allies as you sort of stalk forward into the trees. You move ahead a couple of mat clicks, and it doesn't take you long before you see a clearing with a large. There's sort of this gigantic steel pillar, sort of soaring into the air, and it's surrounded by structures of stone and iron. And this gigantic tower, as you stand and watch it, you see it get lifted up, and then slam back down to the ground, and you sort of feel the quake that it creates through your mech, and you know that this is some sort of mining equipment cracking into the earth, harvesting the precious iron that is veining this moon. You see that there are several mecha surrounding this installation. Most of them appear to be labor bots. They don't carry any obvious weapons, but they're plated with heavy armor. They're made to sort of withstand the rigors of hard labor on these distant frontier moons. You see that they are sort of lifting crates and moving them, welding things with torches on the ends of their arms. But in addition to these labor bots, you see that there is a handful, 5 that you can see, military grade mechs. They're old, they're worn, but they are armed. Each of them holding a large shield and hefting a machine gun, and they're sort of like scanning. You see their heads just sort of scanning the trees as they stand guard at this installation. With your comms, you are able to communicate back to your fire team, just FYI.
And yeah, with the comm link, I would radio back, to both of them and kind of let them know what's going on, and that there's an enemy lance sort of protecting. But they shouldn't be too much opposition for us.
And hearing this, I would give a command that was essentially us running something we've run before. All right, boys. I want to see a spine breaker and keep it wet. And so essentially what I'm saying is I'm going to go into siege mode and blow these cats out of the orb. I'm going to nuke them from orbit. It's the only way. And then essentially that means for you, James, to go up behind them, corrosively spining them, while Oracle goes right flank and just makes them regret the day that they decided to want their freedom.
Make them regret the day they decided they wanted fair pay for fair work. As Lloyd put it.
Unions are bad, right?
They are today.
But it's at that point that you guys realize that your mechs are just festooned with skulls, and you're like, oh man. We're the bad guys. We're evil.
These skulls and that little spark that is sort of synonymous with Walmart nowadays. We're just the union breakers, man. We just break unions with big old shoulder hard point cannons. Different story nowadays.
Oh man. Okay, so if I follow the plan correctly, I have your mech names written down. Voodoo, you're going to be kind of like sort of cloaking around the back to get some sneak attacks in. Colossus, you're going to move into range so that you can go into siege mode and basically attack them from a distance. And Oracle, you're going to be just slamming in from the right flank, sort of
jump in.
up. Yep. Oh yeah, jump jets. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Very cool. All right, so Colossus and Oracle, you sort of move up to the tree line as Voodoo, you sort of flank around the left side, coming up behind them through the rear of this installation. You guys are able to set up far enough away, Colossus and Oracle, that you're not noticed yet. They are likely sort of getting some blips on their radars of where you are, but because of all this magnetic activity, they probably are not sure exactly what's going on. So you have some time here in order to set up and commence your attack. So what I'm going to have you guys do is, if you're going to do this attack, is we're going to go ahead and roll initiative. Okay. What this means is you're going to either roll mobility or system, whichever is higher for you. And let me know if you succeed. So you're trying to roll under one of those.
Bad news, I got a crit, except I got an anti-crit in this game.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can't wait to roll a 1. I did succeed.
Oh, no.
That's like playing Axis and Allies for the first time. You're like, I rolled all 6s.
Yeah.
Oh, so you missed all your hits. Son of a bee.
All right, so Tim, is a 5 is a success for you on?
Correct, on either. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with, for me, I'm gonna go with mobility.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
In this case, the number doesn't really matter as much as if I got a success. Yeah.
Basically, if you succeed, you go before the bad guys. If you fail, you go after. Like, just super simple. And between those two groups, you guys kind of decide what order you want to go in. So Colossus and Voodoo, you guys are both going to be going before bad guys, good guys in this case, and you will decide between yourselves who gets to go in, and you can change that up every round if you want. So initiative is going to go Colossus, Voodoo, Laborers, and then Oracle. So first initiative group, Colossus and Voodoo, you guys are able to go whenever you want.
Cool. So I like the idea that, if you were going into siege mode, that you just pelt them from afar, and then I do the same. They, as soon as they start looking around to see where it came from, I do the same thing.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, like, essentially you're going to come back from behind them as they're like raining down, and and so here's, I think, one of the most important things is that when I go into siege mode, my guns are like hot smokestacks from an old World War II gunship. They're like,
yeah.
And that is the most important thing right now to me. So, okay. So you go from behind. So I guess I'll go ahead, Matt, and roll my attack to set up, hopefully giving advantage or something to Voodoo for any of that stealth stuff he's going to be doing while he despines these blue-collar terrorists.
For sure. So the first thing you need to do if you're going into siege mode is I need you to roll that reactor die for me so you can spend that energy to set up.
Killer. All right. All right, 6. So we're good.
Awesome. Yep, you're good. So you go into siege mode, ready to go. And you can go ahead and give me an attack. So you're going to be rolling your power. And if you're using your heavy weapons, which I assume you are,
absolutely,
you're going to be adding 2 to both the roll and damage. So what that means is that the roll is going to be a little bit less accurate because it's a heavy weapon. You're adding 2 to it, but you're also dealing additional damage. So heavy weapons are harder to aim, but do better damage.
Okay, excellent.
So I didn't realize how well balanced that was.
Isn't that nice?
A plus to the
nice.
Attack is a mind. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, and if you ever want to like have a test be more difficult, you're just like add 2 to your roll. Like it's a +2 check basically.
Oh man, yeah.
All right. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead. I will do that. And I'm going to add the 2 to the damage. So
you got to add 2 to both.
So I roll to do
So
it.
no, so you roll, and because you're rolling under, the +2 to your attack.
Oh, no. I get that.
Yeah,
I'm basically, I see what you're saying. I'm saying, yeah, I want to do it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, God. Yeah. Okay. So I have to get used to this. It's a nat 1.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that was a weird feeling.
So that's a critical success. So you will double your damage, whatever you end up rolling.
I'm so excited.
So you roll your damage die, and then because you're using heavy weapons, you'll add 2 to that.
Killer. So my damage die is a d6. Okay, that's a 5, 6, 7. That's 7 damage.
Times 2 for the critical success is 14.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which means that you are obliterating a few of these guys. So what you see, Voodoo, as you're sort of sneaking up behind these guys, is you hear the sort of thunderclaps of these cannons from Colossus, and then they just come, and a few of the rounds sort of miss the mark. They just leave these big smoldering craters. But then you see one of these mechs that is standing there with the machine gun, and it's sort of like it hears the thunderclaps of these weapons, and it starts sort of looking around, and it brings up a shield, and one of these rounds just goes through its head and out the bottom of it, and it just sort of falls apart, exploding as it sort of rips in half. And as it sort of falls, the rest of you hear an alarm immediately start going off. And the rest of these mechs sort of get into defensive position as more artillery sort of rains down, killing one of the bots that is sort of lifting crates up and moving them. That guy probably was about to go on his lunch break, so that's unfortunate.
Super was.
2 weeks from retirement.
That's
oh, you should see the stuff Lloyd's put in here. Oh God, why? Tell my wife I love her.
I just wanted my union break. That sort of thing. He was about to hit up that craft services table, and so Voodoo, you get to go next.
All right, so I am currently hidden, alpha striking these mofos with my heavy weapon, my shoulder hardpoint heavy weapon, which is +2 to both attack and damage. Correct.
And because you're hidden, you have advantage on the attack.
Oh, and advantage. Oh boy, good, because I'm gonna need it. That's a 16. So I am testing power, right? Any attack is testing power.
Yep, unless it says otherwise, but it's going to be power unless you have a module that tells you otherwise.
Gotcha. Okay, so I matched power. What does that do? That's a failure.
So =2 is a failure. Yes. So
that's not even the +2. So I failed pretty hard. So
So
with advantage, I didn't roll under.
I was gonna say, does that count with your advantage?
Yes, that counts. With I rolled a 16 and a 14. So these dice are doing great for D&D today. So
yes,
Alpha Strike was a failure. So I come out of cloak and I've got this big shoulder, auto cannon, just like, and as they start taking these defensive positions, they just whiz right past them, and they look and obviously see me, no longer cloaked.
Yeah, one of these shield-bearing mechs sort of turns after the first shot, and it sort of like knocks the second shell aside, and it goes and sort of blows up in the trees. All right, bad guys. So 2 of these. Oh God, I lost my stat block. Oh, here it is.
So young.
2 of these.
Trying to get by.
2 of these fresh-faced, newly married, expecting child laborers come at you, Voodoo, as currently you are the only mech that they see. They're going to be firing at you with their submachine guns, so I need you to test mobility twice.
This wasn't part of the plan. Okay, great. 7, so that's a success. No pluses or anything, right?
Nope.
And a 13, which is almost certainly this is mobility. That's not my character sheet. Nope. Yeah, mobility is at 11, so I take one of those hits.
Okay, cool. So you manage to dodge aside from one of the blasts, but then you sort of get rocked in your seat as a burst of rounds from this submachine gun sort of slams into the side of you. You're going to be taking 4 damage. Now, if you have armor points, you can burn those armor points to reduce that damage.
And that's a may, not must, right? So I can if I want to, but I can just take the hits if I want.
You can, yeah.
And that's 4 damage?
4 damage.
Holy cow. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just at any ratio, right? So if I have 3 armor points, I can just take 2 of those, or does it matter?
Yeah, you just spend armor points as you want to reduce damage.
Okay, so yeah, I'm basically going to split it up. I'm going to take 2 on the armor points and 2 on hit points.
Okay, cool. And the armor points there are ways to regain them, but mostly it's going to be resting is going to be what's going to regain your armor points. So they are a finite resource.
So I call out to Oracle and to Tim's mech. Anytime you folks want to get
Lucifer.
Colossus Lucifer. Anytime you folks want to get involved here, kind of putting on them the fact that I missed my easy shot.
Cool. The other 2 mechs sort of start moving into the trees looking for where this artillery is coming from. And you see on your radar, Colossus, you see these sort of hazy blips getting closer and closer to you. They keep sort of jumping around on the radar with the magnetic activity, but you can tell that at least 2 of these mechs are coming towards you in the trees. And that brings us to Oracle's turn.
Okay, so I'm going to and like power up the jump jets. I'm going to activate the primary auto sequences and like hit the buttons and just like maybe get into low orbit and then just like drop in amongst them. I'm trying to like get between them and Voodoo so that he doesn't get killed. So I'm going to basically jump right in front of them and then slash my sword. If I can do both of those things, I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can do 2 actions on your turn. Using the modules, you use action, and then your attack is just an attack action. So you will need to roll your reactor for those jump jets, I believe.
Yep, I get a 5.
Cool.
On my D8.
So you're good.
Yep.
You're golden. So you fly up into the air and you just come screaming down. You, like you said, you're in low orbit. So as you come down, there's actually like heat coming off of you as you're falling. You fall superhero style in between these guys, and you can make an attack with your sword.
Awesome. 14. My power is 16. Yes.
Awesome. That's a success. So go ahead and give me some damage.
6.
6 damage. How much HP do these guys have? Okay, cool. So you don't kill one of these guys, but you hack one of its arms off. Just and one of these big heavy arms just goes sort of hits the ground with the smoke coming off of it, and it kind of staggers backwards with sparks just coming out of this socket.
I'm going to use my arc to roll my reactor die and possibly have him not take his next turn.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
On a successful hit.
Mm-hmm.
5. Yep. So arc is like, I'm guessing it's sort of like ion or like
yeah, it's like lightning or ion. Yeah.
So the sword will like, I'll like hit a button on it and it'll like there'll be this strange sort of glow around it, and I'll smash into it, and you'll see like some of the servos fry on the mech that I hit. And I'll say, target stun, commander.
And I imagine the dude in the cockpit, there's like sparks coming off, and he's getting jostled around in there like 90s video game, full motion video style in there, just getting tossed around. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Oh, I love robots so much. This is so fun. All right, so we're back to the first initiative group. So that's Colossus and Voodoo, and it looks like James said this mech has to pee so bad. So Colossus, you are up. You're still in siege mode. You see 2 mechs coming towards you on your radar. They're probably 1 turn out.
Okay, so I would hit a few switches, and I would stay in siege mode and sort of just tilt on this huge swivel. And I'm lowering my guns down. So I'm going to stay in siege mode, but I'm going like shotgun blast. So like I'm pointing straight at them instead of going arc. It's just going to be like.
Awesome. So these guys, as they're moving through the wilderness, they do have cover. So you're going to be firing with disadvantage at them.
Okay. So I will go ahead and I'll roll that decent. Let's do this. And since do I need to, Siege mode, I only have to roll once to go into it, and then I enjoy that benefit until I come out of it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
You can just come out of it whenever you want, and it doesn't require another roll of the reactor die.
All right. And so this is also a power test?
Yes, it will be.
All right. Okay. All right, that's a failure. I rolled a 17 on my second, so yeah.
You're firing through this sort of dense forest. You see trees just splintering, a couple of them topple, but the mechs are moving forward with their shields up through this with cover, and you don't manage to strike true on any of them. Now, you do have 2 actions. If you wanted to fire again, you could, but you'd be taking the same action twice, which would require a roll of your reactor die.
Super gonna do that. And so it's like, and I can see that I'm missing, and I'm just cutting down these trees. So I'm like, and I pull back on this throttle and sort of just aim just a little higher up. You know what it was? The cold. I didn't account for the cold. I'm not used to that. Ooh, we're doing good so far. Yeah. Okay. That time I did it. And so let's roll some damage.
Give me some damage.
All right, killer. Oh, that's awesome. This game's so fun. We should sell it. Oh, I meant to tell you I deleted it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, on your hard drive, everything.
All my backups, too?
Yeah.
Dang, man.
All right, killer. So no crit this time. So it's 6 total.
6 total? Okay.
Yeah.
So you, one of these rounds just cuts through one of these mechs. You see it's kind of stagger back with this huge hole through the sort of left torso, but it sort of like gets up and keeps moving. You see sparks and wires sort of through that gigantic hole that you just blew through it. Okay. Voodoo, that's you. So you see between you and these mechs is now Oracle, who has dropped in from low orbit, and he just wrecked one of them with his sword.
And so, yeah, Oracle saving my bacon again. There's bacon in Lodestar Alpha, right? Saving my bacon again. I think that Voodoo Zero is going to run around and not using his hidden, just using all of his other awesome stuff, is going to shoot at the next one available. Because basically, if I wanted to use my cloaking field, I'd have to use an action, roll my reactor die. Instead, I'm just going to attack, right? And that doesn't require using my reactor die. Just wreck and shot.
Exactly. Yeah. The only time you have to use your reactor die is if you do the same action twice in one turn, if you take critical damage, or if a module tells you to.
So yeah, I'm kind of gonna skirt around a little bit. You know, like you said, drop down in front of me, wrecked one with the sword. I kind of flank a little bit to the side, maybe to the right side, and I'm gonna attack. So that means I test power.
Can you needlessly jump backwards with both guns for me?
Well, I'm gonna jump backward. It's just one shoulder gun, and just like pew pew. But like, yeah,
okay.
so I
Predator really style. All right, I'm in. I'm in.
Exactly. So I got an 8, which is is better than my power. So I fire, and but it's +2, so 10 because I'm using a heavy weapon. So 10, still better than power, but then I get to add 2 to my damage.
Correct.
Which is a D6 because that didn't change, but I add 2 to it. So I went ahead and rolled a 1. So a 3 total. Yep, that's total. Me on the D6. 3 total. And then on the next turn, I guess I have to remember that they get corrosive damage. 1d6 plus.
Yes.
Sorry, 1d6.
Yeah, don't let me forget that. Are you attacking? So there's 2 mechs here. One of them has its arm chopped off, and it's sort of like you see it standing there sort of locked in place, and there's like electricity sort of flowing through it. And then there's a second one that appears unharmed. Which one would you like to do?
So I'm doing so much damage that I'm doing the unharmed one. Now, here's the thing. I also have the explosive damage module. Is that just on, or do I have to say that's on, or because it's
you have the explosive rounds
until my reactor die is downgraded.
So you'd have to load those in with an action. You can say that you did that before, like to get ready. If you want.
Okay, yeah, I would have wanted to do that. I want to do that now. That's why I wasn't using my reactor. I didn't want a chance lowering it, so I would like to do that and add the 1d8.
Yes, absolutely.
And so in the same respect, that's why I'm shooting at the unharmed guy. I'm like,
you get 1.
You get 1 handling this guy. All right, so didn't roll a 1, rolled a 4 on that one, so that's great news.
So that brings your
so
total to what, 7?
7, yeah. 7
Okay,
damage
cool.
to this new guy. Yeah.
Okay,
or this
cool.
unarmed guy, rather.
Yes. The rounds just kind of sort of go through him sideways, going through the left side of his torso and ripping out the right side. You see him stumble and sort of he catches himself on the frozen ground with one of these robotic fists and then brings himself back up. You see he's barely functioning. There's just sparks just coming out of him from every angle, but he is refusing to give up.
And he probably doesn't realize it now, but slowly it's corroding his armor, and he maybe going to realize that in a moment or so.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's probably going to be the ultimate death of him here. Okay, it is bad guy's turn. So actually, he gets to roll that corrosive damage now.
Okay, on his turn, sweet.
Yeah. So is it on his turn? What does it say specifically on corrosive?
So I copied and pasted it. It said corrosive plus 1d6 damage at the start of its next turn. So I guess that would be.
Yep. So you see the acid from your weapon just sort of taking over, and the big sort of hole that you put through the side eats away completely, and you see the top half of the mech slide off of the legs and just sort of land on the ground. The legs continue walking forward for a second and then buckle and topple as well. And both halves of the mech just explode in this column of fire.
Reporting one less.
The other mech doesn't get to go this turn because of Oracle's arc weapon. The two that are heading towards Colossus, however, have reached Colossus and are going to attack. So, Colossus, what I need from you is 2 mobility checks, please.
All right. So 2 and not at disadvantage, you mean? Just regular?
Yep, just regular.
Okay. First one for me is a failure. Second one for me is a failure.
Okay, so that's going to be 2. It's going to be 8 damage total as they just lay into you with their submachine guns.
Yowza.
You can burn some armor if you wish.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So I'll actually burn half of my armor. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Why I told you that.
It's good to know.
Okay. Here's what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and walk you through this.
Voodoo and Oracle, you both notice the labor bots that were sort of loading stuff have sort of like disappeared. They're sort of moving into the installation. You see them sort of running as fast as they can into this large steel structure that is sort of hammering the ground, appearing to try to escape from this skirmish. And we are back up to the top of the initiative with Colossus and Voodoo.
No, I didn't get to go.
Oracle.
Is our mission to kill the labor bots? No, right? Our mission is to.
Your mission was sort of like they told you that these laborers had uncovered some sort of weapon, and that your mission was to sort of find out what it was and potentially destroy it.
Okay. Well, it looks like Colossus is in trouble. So I'm gonna activate my jetpacks again. It's actually a move action, so I can do it whenever it looks like. I'm gonna roll that. I assume I can move up to far, which is really far.
Yeah, that's about as far as you can go.
Is that enough to get to them? Far?
To these labor bots? Absolutely.
I mean, to the guys who are going towards Colossus.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
Okay, sweet. I rolled a 7 on my reactor die, and it's a D8. Does that mean it's a success? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, as long as you don't roll a 1 or a 2 on your reactor die.
Okay. So yeah, he'll take off again, but like less high this time, more in a direct line, and like end up maybe like skidding, smashing through a couple of trees, and like turning around to face these that are very close to Colossus.
Oh, I can picture it so perfectly. That's awesome.
Then I'm gonna hit them with my sword. One of them. 16 is the same as my power.
So that is a failure. You have to be under. If you roll equal or higher, then it's a failure.
Okay, and if I want, I'm out of stuff now, right?
Yeah, you're out of actions. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So I'll just land there and like slash, but there's too much burn and too much like the gyros aren't working properly, and I miss.
Awesome. Yeah, you like try and like pull a Tokyo drift, and you're just swinging too wide as you come around. Okay, cool. So that brings us back up to the top of the initiative now. So Colossus, you see Oracle just crash through the canopy of the trees and come sliding in, swinging with his sword and not hitting anything, but putting himself between you and these two mechs that are coming towards you.
That's awesome. So I think what I'll do is take an action to come out of siege mode, and then I will probably, I didn't ask for one, like some sort of melee weapon, but can I have some sort of like huge Bowie knife or something?
Well, so you took chain blade, so I would assume that you would have a melee weapon. So yeah.
Oh, in my mind, I thought that was something that was affixed to my gun, like a lancer sort of thing.
Oh no, it's just it's a property that gets added to a melee weapon.
Oh, perfect. All right, killer. So yeah, so I have a chainsaw Bowie knife.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. And so like, with the curvy edges and all. So I and just stick this thing in the back of the one that is sort of being murked. So
go for it.
Okay, another crit. One.
Critical success.
Critical success.
Yes.
Another
awesome.
Critical success. And then all right, so that is 3 on the die. So that's 3, and then it's doubled because it's a crit, so that would be 6.
6 damage, yep.
All right, cool.
And are you attacking the one that you already put a round through as it was approaching?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you take that one out, so you can describe how you do that with the chainsaw blade.
Yep. From siege mode, it's like my arm comes out of it first, holding the knife as the rest of me catches up. Downward swipe, cutting the tubes that feed the core to this big work mecha, and the thing just sort of oil squirting out, looking like a jugular slit as this thing falls on its knees and just and then the little hatch opens up and a guy tries to run away.
He G.I. Joes it. He parachutes out.
It's like
awesome. All right.
Just doing my job.
I'm new here.
I'm new here. Oh man. So Voodoo, you are up.
So like you said, they've begun running away, right? As they should.
Yeah,
because
the labor bots are running into the installation, and the two mechs that you were fighting are just toppled. They're wreckage now. Oracle just took off, and sort of you heard Oracle crashing through the trees behind you.
Yeah, so they're not paid nearly enough, but apparently we get paid more, so we're gonna go after them, I guess. We're gonna go try to kill them some more, Matt.
Awesome.
So yeah, I do that. I try to go find out what this weapon is that potentially, like you said, that they've uncovered or made or whatever. I think we're just gonna shoot a couple rounds through it and it'll be over, but
So you move into this sort of installation, and as you get closer to this gigantic sort of jackhammer device towering above even your massive war machine, it fills your comms with just this rumble, and your mech sort of staggers forward as the ground just shakes. Your sensors are going crazy. Your HUD even blinks out a few times as you get closer to this thing from just this magnetic activity that is being generated. And then suddenly you see a crack sort of spread from the ground in the distance between the legs of your mech and extending behind you, and the jackhammer stops. And there's this silence over the comms. You just hear and then the jackhammer just begins toppling. You see the ground heave up and you see something emerging from the ground. You're not sure what it is. You've never seen anything like it, but it's immediately obvious that it is not mechanical. But it is huge.
And so upon seeing whatever this non-mechanical thing is, Voodoo would immediately use a cloak.
Probably a good call.
Probably a good call. So hiding from it, I keep grabbing a d20 for my reactor die. That's not the case. So that's a 5. So I succeed. So I hide. We go, like you said, go into this cloak mode, kind of disappear from sensors and whatnot, and maybe almost instinctively rather, hide behind something that might be big enough, a building or whatever, as though I weren't already cloaked. Do I see what it is? Do I I want to shoot at it, but not if it's way too big to even engage.
It's covered in rubble right now, and it appears to be emerging slowly, but you can tell that it is some sort of organic creature. You see limbs, you see the vague shape of some sort of massive head emerging from this rubble. It is probably twice as tall as you are and 3 times as long. And you see 1 limb come up, 2 limbs, 3 limbs. You just keep seeing arms coming up out of this hole as this thing emerges. Anything else you'd like to do on your turn?
I guess I'm going to have to fire at it. I'm in a mech. I'm going to shoot at this thing. There's no question. So
okay.
I'm going to roll under my power. I'm going to just go for all of it. And I'm hidden right, so I get advantage.
Yes. This is a creature that is HD 3, which means it's 2 levels above you. So you're going to be adding 2 to your roll.
Oh, okay. Well, but I do get advantage from being hidden. That's the main thing, because correct. I rolled a 20, which is terrible in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, not good.
Oh my God! I rolled 2 20s in a row. Just get out of here!
You're like, I wish I was playing D&D right now.
I know. I'm like, oh, double crit. So I don't know what it is. Voodoo just cannot handle what he is seeing, and he fires and just misses this thing that could not be more planted in front of him. And because I rolled the 20, I need to roll a reactor die. Is that a thing?
No, it's only if you take critical damage from somebody.
Take critical
damage. The only downside is that you just super biff it. So
yeah, super biff it. Come out of cloak.
One of your shots hits this thing, and it just does nothing. It almost looks like it bounces off of its blubber. It's just like, boom, and this thing doesn't even notice. It's like a gnat bit it.
And yeah, Voodoo over the comms I don't know, voices some sort of concern. Something like guys, and that's it. That's all he can sort of utter.
This creature emerges fully and sweeps its gaze around, and you see this monstrous bestial face with a cluster of glowing red eyes. And these eyes sort of bore into you, Voodoo, as you sort of take your shots, and one of them sort of bounces off almost like this sort of skull-like carapace that crests its head. This shot bounces off of it, and it opens its mouth, and you see light glow from within its throat. Please test mobility, adding 2.
Oh God, this is not, I can't find my other die. It must be in a bag somewhere. This is not the die I want to roll for this. Okay, 2. Absolutely destroyed it.
Very cool. So a white hot beam of pure energy just emits from a straight line out of this thing's throat and cuts a building in half as you duck to avoid it. The building is just sheared completely in half, and you see the top floor sink into the bottom floor as this thing just destroys everything around it with this beam that it just sort of sweeps across. That brings us to second half of the initiative with Oracle. Oracle, you are very much aware through sensors and just through listening that something gigantic has emerged from the installation, and you hear Voodoo's warning over the comms. What would you like to do?
Is there still a mech here between myself and Colossus, or is he?
There is, yes.
Okay. So then I'll deal with that first. If I use my reactor die, can I attack twice?
Yes. Yep, you can. Yeah, you can do the same action twice. It just requires you to roll your reactor die.
I'll just do once and see what happens.
Cool.
Try and hit him with my sword for 13. Yeah, that'll do it. And 8.
Awesome. You kill him in one hit. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, so he's like he like turns to face Colossus, who's like towering over him with his like chain knife. And as he does so, I like take the sword. Although you would notice, Colossus, that he's not trying to kill the dude in the mech. He just like hacks at like the hip of the mech, and he'll just he'll like try and get up. He won't be able to do so. And I'll say, "Bogey down," and then I will turn and fly over to whatever the hell Voodoo is doing.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So you're going to use your jump jets, roll that reactor die,
6.
and as you're flying, you can see this thing from the sky, and it's just like cripplingly huge. Like as you see it, you sort of like do like a triple take almost. This thing just emerging. You see buildings sort of slouching off its back as it emerges from this hole. And then you see this blinding flash of light as it just sweeps this beam, like more powerful weapon than you've ever seen, just sweep across and cut a few buildings in half as it attacks Voodoo.
I think he's like in the air and he's like, all right, here we go. And he's like, oh no. And he's like trying to backpedal, but he's too far into the air already. And like, so he doesn't know what to do. So I don't know if I can land on top of it, but that would be probably what I would try to do.
If you if you want to land on top of it, rule of cool, absolutely you can land on top of it.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, very cool. So you have landed on top of this thing. It'll probably require some ability checks to stay on it on your next turn, but for now, you have landed on top of this massive alien creature.
Come on, get the fuck over
here. And with that, it is Colossus's turn.
And so seeing all of this unfold, I would say, Jet was right. There are creatures here. And so I would look down at a picture of the four of us, probably hanging out in some pilot bar, and sort of just put my thumb on it. This is for you. And I would charge this thing. Just straight. So whatever it looks like for a Titan to charge. Probably. And the momentum starts getting more and more. And so as my teammates essentially are assaulting this thing, as I get close enough, I want to just pull out that huge chain gun I have and just and you just hear it spinning first and just laying into this thing.
I imagine it sounds like the A10 Warthog main gun where it's just like it just sounds like
it just once it warms up it just
That's awesome. Okay, give me an attack.
Oh, I have to roll? I thought
sorry.
Okay,
wait, no, it says right here, if your description is cool enough, you just don't need to follow rules. So that's what it says.
Rule of cool? Yeah, rule of cool. I don't just kill the big monster. Like, come on.
Pew pew pew. So I do hit if it's if I can use power.
Yep, and this is a HD3, so you're going to be adding 2 to your roll on top of the 2 that you add for heavy weapons, so plus 4 total.
Okay, cool. So that still makes it. That still makes it. Luckily.
Awesome. Give me some damage.
Killer. Okay, it's also just 2, unless I get to add stuff to. Oh, well, do heavy weapons get a +2 as well?
Yeah, heavy weapons get +2.
So that's 4.
4. Okay, great. So you actually see blood spraying out of this thing as you mow into it with this thing, and the persistence of these bullets just manages to puncture its blubbery flesh, and you see blood just spewing out of it. Oracle, you're on top of this thing. You actually get a little warning klaxon as you take 1 damage as the blood splatters against you and begins eating through the steel of your armor. So you can burn some armor to eat that 1 damage, or you can take it directly to your HP if you want.
I'll take it.
Cool. That was Colossus. Voodoo.
So, if I'm not mistaken, I'm able to hide and shoot in the same turn, right? That's not ridiculous.
Yep, and they're 2 different actions, so you just require the 1 reactor roll for going cloak.
Okay, so we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cloak after seeing this. Like you said, he's on top of it. Colossus is shooting at him. Roll my reactor die, get a 6, so that's great news. Let's hope the D20 treats me just as well.
You guys are rolling way too well on those reactor die.
So I hide with my D6, rolling a 6. Yeah, except for that my D20 is a 20. So
Right.
I get to do that, and then I hide, and that means that I get to roll with advantage to attack this thing and just do way too much damage if I can actually hit it.
Yeah, with those explosive
Testing
rounds.
power. A 20, just go screw yourself, but with the F word. So, oh my god, I need another D20.
I was gonna say, dude, you need to switch dice.
Oh my god,
Using that.
So these were all in a bag when I moved, and there's not another D20 in here. This is the D20 that I have. I have about 3 more, but they're. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna roll this horribly. Is
it the Atcon D20?
No, I'm not. I refuse to roll that die.
Those are the
but there's
actually
another-
the Atcon D20s would be really good for Mecha Hack because they roll so low.
Oh, that's a great point. No, I haven't. I'm gonna roll the Acon D20. I forgot about that. The Acon
Dude, that is a really good idea.
Oh, so that's a 3 right there. Oh,
Yep,
that's
there
the
you
answer
go.
I
Yeah.
like. Okay, so I need to stop rolling them game science die. So that's a 5. So I hit that. But what that means is, okay, so now that I've done that, I get +2 on both. So that still makes it with a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I get +2 to damage, which my damage is a D6. Still a 1 again. This die hates me too, but that's 3. But I get the extra. I'm trying to remember all these things I get. I get the extra D6.
You get a D6 from the ambush. Yep.
Oh, the extra D6 from. So a D6 regular, and then an extra D6 for the ambush, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then I believe you're using explosive rounds too, so that would be.
And
a
I get the D8. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's a 2, so 3,
Mhm.
but +2 because it's a heavy weapon, so 5, and then I get the D8 from the explosive rounds. This isn't as broken as I thought. If you roll terribly,
It's true.
I really thought this would be crazy. I'm like, oh man, if you just roll ones.
Like damage does nothing if you
Two.
can't hit. So
So that's a 7 total. He will take corrosive damage on his turn, but 7 total with like
Okay.
3 dice rolled. So that's just kind of bananas.
yeah. It is funny too that you guys are doing so well on the reactor die rolls because when I did the first playtest for this, everyone was down to a D4 reactor like almost immediately.
Like,
Like
just
within the first
immediately,
3
yeah.
rounds, yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, I rolled a 1," and I'm like, "Are you serious? You only did one thing." Okay, cool. So you do some damage to this guy, and Oracle, another 1 damage from that acid blood as it just sprays across the hull of your.
jeez. But yes, when his turn comes, this crazy thing comes. It's D8 corrosive, which I refuse to forget because
Yes,
I have that also.
don't let me forget. Actually, it's its turn right now. Do you want to roll that damage?
I would love to actually. You're
Roll
like,
that
hey,
beautiful-
I rolled
roll
a
that
really
beautiful
high
beam
last
footage.
time, so.
Yeah.
3. I can't get higher than a 5 on a. I can't get higher than a half on the die. So 3 for the D8 there.
So the acid from your weapon, despite the fact that this thing has caustic blood of some kind, you see the acid reacting with its flesh and eating away at it. It sort of screams into the sky as it takes this damage. And I need both you and Oracle to give me tests of presence, please.
Oh boy.
Presents. Goodness me.
Mhm.
Success.
Okay.
So absolute failure, no question.
Okay. So this thing looses a roar so loud, so piercing that you see cracks begin to appear on the viewport of your mechs. both of you are completely staggered by this cry, this thundering roar that it lets loose. Oracle, you manage to keep your footing and stand fast again against it. However, Voodoo, you need to roll your reactor die as your entire mech is just shaken by this this roar that splits the sky.
Oh god, this is where it all falls apart. A 1 on the reactor die. That's bringing me right down to a D4.
Downgraded.
Ooh.
You're out of your explosive rounds too.
No. Oh yes. That sucks. Okay.
I did it. I did it.
You did it.
Say goodbye to them explosive rounds, boy. And this thing is going to move as well. So it emerges fully from the hole, and it turns, and it's still sort of taking fire from this gigantic chain gun being wielded by Colossus, and it zeroes in on that damage and begins sort of stalking towards you, Colossus, using a move action to move within near range of you.
I rolled an ability to stay on top, and I succeeded.
Oh, perfect. I was going to ask you to do that. Great. Awesome. All right. And that actually brings us to you, Oracle. Your turn.
Okay, I'm on top of this thing somehow. I guess he's like probably dropped the gun. He's just like holding on with one mecha hand, and then he has a sword in the other. I'm gonna like just stab that down as often as I can.
I'll let you do so with advantage, since there's really no way for you to miss at this point, since you're on top of this thing.
All right, excellent. So let's see. I have some things. Okay, yes. Roll first. A 2, definitely a hit.
That's really good.
Yes. So then I'm going to use my Maverick ability, which is I can reduce my armor points by 2 to roll an additional damage die, which I will do.
Yes, that's so awesome.
So 7 and 4 is 11.
Damn, nice.
Yep. And then I'm going to use my arc on a successful attack to roll my reactor die, and if I succeed, it'll knock it in next turn.
Perfect.
4. Nailed it.
Perfect. So you stab into this thing, and it's sort of like it's almost charging towards you, Colossus, and then you see it sort of like halt and almost like kind of crash into the ground as this electrical sort of energy just courses through it, and you see its massive skeleton sort of silhouetted as it becomes electrocuted for a second, and it sort of collapses in a smoldering heap as it is stunned for its next turn.
Go, go, go now!
It's a Zelda boss. Kill it while it's stunned. All right. That was Oracle. We're back up at the top with Colossus.
It's just flashing red.
Yeah. When you hit it, it goes, ooh, ooh, ooh.
And if you get a real good one, it has like, it stops for a second, and there's like little stars floating around. So, watching everything that just happened like right in front of me, because I was charging this thing, and I think I want to dig in, and I'm going to really use this reactor die, and I'm going to just keep on like chain gunning this thing all across its blubber. And so first attack, I don't need to roll the reactor die because that's just my normal action. And my first nat 20 of the night.
There you go.
So not great. So that fails. And then I'm going to take another attack action and roll the reactor die. Now I roll the reactor die first.
So you always roll the reactor die after whatever it is you're doing.
Gotcha. So, ooh, yay. Okay. This dice sucks because every time I roll it, it's a 1. Every time I roll it, it's a 1. It's my old Ranger dice that I hated because it rolled low. I need to remember that. So
now it's your Mecha Hack dice.
Now it's my Mecha Hack dice. And the AtCon D20 rolled me a 20.
What the heck?
I thought I was being so clever. Anyway,
that's the thing. It's either really high or really low, but you won't roll a 10. That's my experience.
Right.
So damage for that, it is a heavy weapon, so it'll be this, so 1, so only 3, and then my reactor dies is 6.
Okay. So just 3 damage, even with the +2 from it being heavy?
Just +2?
Yeah, for heavy weapons.
Yes. Oh, did I add it? Yes, I rolled a 1.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's making sure.
Rolled a 1 on damage, yeah.
Continue laying into this thing with your chain gun. You see bits and pieces of it flying off. And Oracle, again, 1 damage as the blood sprays on you.
Ah, damn it, Commander!
Your mech's just like, whoop, 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 and it keeps showing like the red blinking parts of all the acid eating through the armor. Okay, Voodoo, you're up.
So I'm going to avoid rolling that D4 reactor die to just move potentially away, try to get away from this thing. I don't think I'm quite in contact with it, but disengage relatively, run away, and fire at it. No longer with explosive rounds, but still with corrosive rounds. So I'm going to roll that same dart. No, I'm going to pick a different D20 because I have one, but it's not a game science, so forgive me. A 4, so awesome. That's the answer to all my problems. Absolutely hitting that thing with my heavy weapon, which is a D6 plus 2. And that time we get a 5, so 7 damage. And then on its turn, it gets the D8, or sorry, D6 corrosive?
Yep, D6 corrosive.
D6 corrosive, I was getting it mixed up. So yeah, there we go. And then D6 corrosive. So run away, fire this very large shoulder weapon at it. I like the Battletech style of 2 shots. I imagine this is an AC-20, just hardcore. Just fire 2 shots right at it.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, and they just slam into this thing. Oracle, 1 damage from the acid blood.
God! Numerous hole
I keep forgetting that part.
Dude,
Screw
you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna die over some acid blood. Watch.
I love it because Lloyd was like, I want to get on top of this thing, and I was like, okay, cool. And I'm looking at the acidic blood. Deals 1 damage to close mecha when taking damage. I'm just like, yes. All right, so it's now the kaiju's turn. So go ahead and roll that D6 there for the corrosive damage, James. Let me know what you get.
Good. It's a D6, huh? Not a D8. D8 is the other damage that I don't get anymore.
Explosive rounds that you don't have anymore.
But this time it's a 6. Take that.
Damn, nice. Yeah, now, you actually see bones beneath its flesh as this corrosive acid does its damage.
That sounds great, but really, as a GM, I'd be the guy that says, listen, this guy has caustic blood. That corrosive damage isn't doing S. Okay, so I appreciate you letting me have that for the playtest, but in all honesty, that should be doing nothing.
It's 2 different kinds of acid. I don't know. It's immune to its own blood, but not this corrosive.
I'm into that. Trust me, I'm into that.
James uses like mecha battery acid.
Yeah.
So it causes chemical reactions on kaiju.
He's shooting old AA's from like a GameCube Wavebird controller at this thing.
This guy brought up the Wavebird. Oh, Jesus.
The Wavebird.
Oh, just get out of here. Oh,
he's hitting the buttons. He's like
yellow Wavebird. Just go out. Just
Oh, man. All right. So it's kaiju's turn. Let me see if its roar thing recharges. It doesn't. So it is going to open its mouth and emit a maw beam. So what I need from you, Colossus, is a mobility test, adding 2 to it, if you would, please.
Hot stuff. Caustic. Alexander Caustic. Okay, that's not so bad. 2, 3, 4, so 4. So I think 4. I'm doing all right. Yeah, all right. That Akon dice pulled through this time.
So you're not carrying a shield because you have a heavy weapon, so it's 2 hands.
Correct.
But you just managed to sort of like move aside as this beam just cuts diagonally from right above your shoulder and into the earth, like leaving a good-sized trench that's just smoking and smoldering. And you see the dirt in the trench has been instantly turned to glass from the heat of this maw beam just cutting right through it.
Wow.
And you hear trees falling down behind you as this thing cuts through them.
Were you asking me about the shield? Because we were going to do like a against the
I was
shield.
gonna do a Captain America versus Iron Man, like it bounces off. Yeah,
dude, you're totally gonna retcon that and say that my shield, I don't have a shield, but the whole right side of my armor is part of Jet's old mech.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, and then I realized that was probably not a good idea to melt that keepsake.
And then it goes up into orbit, and there's a small like satellite colony up there, and there's a little girl, and she's like, "I love our new home, Mom." And then it just cuts right through it. You guys are the worst.
Finally, we're safe from all the war.
War goes up.
Oh man. All right. That was the kaiju's turn. It also decides to move closer to you, Colossus. It is now in close range with you, right on top of you. And Oracle, I will need a mobility check to try and stay on top of it.
Yep, I did it. I got a 7.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Colossus, it's your turn.
I am going to shit.
It's
Oh,
definitely my turn.
Colossus.
Nope, it is Oracle's turn.
Yep. It also just occurred to me that I arced it last turn, so it shouldn't have gotten a turn, but that's fine. I'll do it again. I totally forgot.
Oh,
as well.
it did. Didn't it miss its? Didn't I skip its turn once? Maybe I
don't
did.
think so. It doesn't matter.
I mean, you guys are on hard mode.
Listen, that dice is gone forever, so
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
Lloyd.
gone forever, and like,
That went to like
part of your house down. Like,
like
holy
what-
cow!
lower
It's just gone
plane of
forever.
existence. It's
Lloyd
gone.
has firecracker wood floors.
Holy cow!
I'm gonna try and hit it with my sword again.
This floor is tiled in caps, just like caps from captains.
He's just
Well,
walking
that die
across
is
him.
gone forever.
He's walking across him half asleep eating cereal.
I got it. Did it. Got him. I got a 3 on my attack.
Awesome. Give me some damage.
I'm going to spend more armor points to do double damage for 2 and 2, so 4 damage.
4 damage total. Hang on. Let me check. Okay. That is enough to do this thing in. Go ahead and describe to me how you kill this kaiju.
Glory. Yeah, so he's like got one mech fist like holding on to like a horn or something that's coming out of this thing, and it's like and he just like inverts the sword and he's just like driving it down into like where the spine is, like but it where the spine should be, but like nothing's happening, and eventually he just like lets go of that hand, like gets both and just like, drives it all the way down, and it like twitches and begins to fall down onto the ground.
And Colossus, you like barely move out of the way as this thing just topples. Its mouth just open. You see this like several tongues loll out of its mouth as blood, just acidic blood, just seeps into the ground and begins eating away at the soil. The three of you have felled this creature, and the weapon uncovered by these laborers, it's clear now that it was not really a weapon at all, but some sort of ancient alien beast slumbering who knows how long beneath the surface of this moon. You've heard rumors of things like this in the system of Lodestar Alpha, but you've never seen anything like it. As you check in with command and the warp cells do their work, transporting you back into the loading bay of your command ship, the three of you emerge from mechs that are smoldering, smoking, sparking, acid still eating away at the steel and wires that make up their frames. The three of you emerge from your cockpits and remove your helmets, see each other's faces shining with sweat as a command officer comes down the stairs, red-faced, holding a clipboard, and he says, "Suit up, we got another mission for you." And that is where we will end our playtest of the Mecha Hack.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh,
I
man,
kept that
was
under
so
2.5 hours. Can I get a what
Smash
on that?
What?
Right?
So that is the Mecha Hack, guys. If this seems like something that is fun to you, if it seems like something that would interest you, this game is coming out on May 25th. It is a complete standalone game with everything you need to run awesome mech missions. And this was a lot of fun. I have long wanted to have a mech game to play, and I honestly have just never found one that really suited me. And so that's our motto at Absolute Tabletop is we make what we use. And in this case, this was I made what I needed. And this was a lot of fun. So I want to thank these guys for joining me on this final playtest. And honestly, I didn't really run into anything that I need to fine tune or anything there. I have a few notes for things that I'd like to add and make more clear in the rules, but otherwise, I think it feels good, and mechs feel powerful but not invincible, and that's really what I want. So I'm going to turn it over to these guys to do some outros. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this session, we are playing again. Us four plus Barker are playing in an Iskloft one shot tomorrow on this channel, GM'd by the RLDM himself. So definitely check that out tomorrow at 6 Pacific time, 9 Eastern. Some ungodly hour Lloyd's time. So that's going to be it. I'm going to let these guys do outros, and then we're going to call it a night. So James, go ahead.
So this was amazing. I really thought, like, not on purpose, but I was just picking the things that stood out to me, and none of it was broken. I love the usage die. I love that you're kind of deciding what to do each time. And this was so much fun. I mean, I've read the rules a couple of times now, but it was so awesome. I just read Tim's message, and that's hilarious about Smash Brothers in his cockpit. But yeah, Mecha Hack is awesome. If you want to play mecha games, this is the game. This is so cool. So yeah, I mean, that's all I can say. It just was everything I wanted from it.
Awesome, man. All right, Lloyd, go ahead.
Yep, this is great. There's lots of like nice risk reward sort of stuff going on, which I really like. Like, do I take another action? I have to roll my reactor die again, and like I had this thing where I could like reduce my armor to do more damage. It really felt like I had lots of options in a fun way, and I felt really powerful. And the name generator is the best. So yeah, thanks. That was great.
Yeah, the name generator is honestly like my favorite thing in the book. I'm really excited about it. Speaking of name generator, the name generator's creator, Tim Carney, go ahead, man.
So a game doesn't come to life until you play it. And so I've had a lot of fun, working with you guys, writing all of this, but seeing this come to full Titanic life has been really rewarding. And so this is a game that is easy to run. It's easy to start. And so I'm excited because it's extremely thematic, but also every bit of it is just tight and it's lean. There's not a bunch of extra stuff because mechs could get really technical really quickly, and it doesn't. It's like that something, that Einstein says is make things as simple as they can be and not any simpler. And to me, this is that perfect balance. So anyway, pick up Mecha Hack on absolutetabletop.com. It's just a really good game.
Awesome, man. Thank you. And thank you for all your help in designing and playtesting this thing. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. And honestly, it's really fun to run as a game master because I don't roll anything aside from damage. Like everything is in the player's hands. It's on them to avoid damage and deal damage and all that kind of stuff. So it's fun as a game master to kind of sit back and just throw things at these guys and see what they make of them. So yeah, check out the Mecha Hack on May 25th. Check out the Iskloft game tomorrow at 6. And otherwise, guys, we're going to call it a night. Take care. Happy gaming all, and suit up May 25th.